next guest holds himself out as one of the few voices for real change in Washington. Senator Mike Lee of Utah is a founding member of the Senate's Tea Party caucus and a passionate advocate for his beliefs. We've had a good time mixing it up about balancing the budget before. Take a look at this. I know time is running short, but what I'd love to do, when you figure it out, I'm sure you will, is let's have you back on the show, and then we can go area by area, and so we can see if we agree or not.
And maybe we can put up some graphs and talk about the graphs as well. That'd be a lot of fun, just like last time.
We'll put up the graphs you want us to put up next time. How's that?
That'd be great.
All right, Senator, great to have you back with us. I hope you brought your graphs and your answers. You're always a good sport to be on the show. So let me throw it at you right away. You've now been in Washington for a couple months. What are the cuts, the big cuts in the big four, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, defense? They're going to balance the budget, which is what you're calling for.
Well, again, Elliot, as we've had this conversation in the past, both with charts and without, I've told you each and every time, everything has to be on the table. We have to look at across-the-board cuts to every single program and every single department. Nothing can be exempt. I think one way of going about that could be to go back to a base budget using 2004 figures. There's not a business, there's not a family, there's not a state or local government in America that hasn't had to face cutbacks. And many of them, perhaps most of them, have had to face going back to what they spent in 2004. I believe wholeheartedly with what President Obama said in his State of the Union address, which is that Americans deserve to have a government that lives within its means. And that's why I proposed a balanced budget amendment. That's why we've got to draw the line in the sand, saying that we are going to balance it, and then we've got to do it. And that's going to take across-the-board cuts to every single program and every single department.
Look, Senator, I hear the answer. Obviously, we can all do the same math. We're running a deficit right now of about $1.6 trillion. That's this year and also pretty much what's predicted for next year on a base total budget of about $3.7 trillion, so roughly 40% or so. So are you saying, and there's some things that can't be cut, like interest, Social Security, we could change the law. Are you saying you would go for a 40% cut in our defense budget?
I am saying that we have to look at potentially cuts as high as 40% in every single program. It may be that there are some where we decide we can't or don't want to cut them that high, but we've got to make it up somewhere else. Now, I don't know whether that can occur over a 2-year period or a 5-year period or a 7-year period or what, but we do have to draw the line now, and we've got to establish this baseline legal requirement now and commit now to do it. Because if we don't, what's going to happen is we're going to squeeze out every other program. If what you love most and want to protect most is national defense or Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, any of those programs or all of them combined, you should be in favor of a balanced budget amendment. Because otherwise, what will happen, just as sure as the fact that the sun will come up in the east tomorrow, is that by the end of this decade, if we just follow what the president has proposed so far, we'll be spending almost $1 trillion a year just on interest on national debt. Now, that's more than we spend on Social Security. That's more than we spend on Medicare and Medicaid combined. It's more than we spend on national defense. That's what will be taken out of our budget before we even spend it on anything.
Senator Lee, it's Kathleen Parker. And,
Hi,
how you doing? In an interview on our website, you said that you would filibuster any attempt to raise the debt ceiling unless there was you could get a constitutional amendment to balance the budget. But of course, everybody knows that takes years to do. So, what in the short term would make raising the debt ceiling appealing to you?
Nothing. We have to have a balanced budget amendment. And I do intend to use the filibuster rule, and I will filibuster any effort to raise the national debt ceiling.
Well, I think the reality, though, Senator, I don't want to go through the algebra again. We need to raise the debt ceiling because no matter how you cut it, there will not be a balanced budget next year because there can't be 40% cuts across the board, including Social Security, defense, and all the other things. Just can't physically happen. So we're going to have to borrow more because we're burning through $100 billion a month on the downside. Let me ask you this. Social Security, we don't have unlimited time tonight. Let's just take Social Security. What is your plan for this one program that everybody acknowledges is a big part of the federal budget? How would you change it right now? Raise the percentage of income that is subject to payroll tax, raise the retirement age. What are you going to do to bring that into long-term solvency?
Okay, we can bring Social Security into long-term solvency, 75-year solvency without raising taxes. If we do a few things. First of all, we have to assure those Americans who are now retired we're not going to cut their benefits, and those Americans about to retire. But for those who are not about to retire, for those 55 and younger, we have to start saying right now, look, we're going to have to start changing our laws so that we reflect life expectancy in this country. We're going to have to start raising the retirement age gradually. We're going to have to start imposing some means-based testing so that those at the top end of the economic spectrum have diminished benefits, and at some point they might phase out. We can't afford what we've bitten off. And again, this is out of a desire to protect that interest that Americans have in this program. And if we don't take steps like this one, and if we don't balance the budget, there will be nothing left for Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid or defense.
Look, Senator, this may make you challenge your position, but I agree with you on part of what you just said, and I think that we need more senators down there who will say very clearly, raise the retirement age, do it gradually. How quickly is a matter of debate. You said something else, though, that I have not heard from anybody, I don't think, which is to means test Social Security. I've heard that about Medicare, but not Social Security. So you want to means test Social Security as well, which means those who are wealthier will get a lower and lower and lower payment from the government.
Yes, I think that's right. I think that's the only way that we save this program.
Sorry,
all right. No, Senator, I was just going to shift gears for a minute away from the budget, which, of course, I adore talking about, but to politics. You have said that the senior senator from Utah, where you're from, of course, is Orrin Hatch, and you've said that you will not endorse him. You will not endorse him for the primary. Do you have somebody else in mind to challenge him?
No. What I've said is that I'll support the eventual nominee for the Republican Party for the U.S. Senate race in Utah in 2012. Senator Hatch is a friend. He's helped me get oriented to the Senate. He has told me that he's fine with the position I've taken, and I take him at his word on that.
All right, Senator Mike Lee, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.